What kind of radio equipment did Amelia Earhart use in that last flight? Well, here it is. It was basically a receiver and transmitter. It was the Bendix RA1 and receiver, and then the electric WE13C50. Let's take a look at the receiver, the Bendix RA1B. So imagine you're Amelia Earhart. You're just about done with this long transatlantic, across the world, flying and flying. You're over the ocean. All you've seen is water, water, water for hours and hours and hours. And this is your receiver you have to use to, this is basically life or death, you know, using this thing. This is the receiver. I suppose it looks pretty simple to use. You got to concentrate on navigation, flying, everything you need to do to make it, you know, make it to the end of your flight alive, which of course you didn't. But look at this thing, man. This thing is like, had a dynamo. It was, you know, it was really loud in that plane. I guess they removed the insulation, all kinds of stuff. So it was basically just, I believe, just the metal of the plane separating them from the inside, from the outside, and those engines just roaring. And it looks like there's a headphone jack here. So we probably had those headphones cranked to maximum just to listen to the radio. I think they had to yell at each other, or radio. I think she had to write Fred Noonan notes sitting right next to each other, you know, navigation information, because it was so loud in there. But yeah, this thing is just, and here's some of the 1950s, well, this is not 1950s, but some vacuum tubes here. Yeah. And you're probably talking AM. I don't think there was, I don't know if they were doing single sideband at that time. So it was probably an AM signal. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just amazing that people did anything with this equipment back then. It was state of the art back in the day. So it was probably just amazing to have a radio anywhere, much less in an airplane. So 7-tube receiver. It had a 12-volt dynamo that supplied the power to the radio. This is kind of an interesting document here. I may have to download this. And then the frequency range right here, A and B, looks like it was 150 to 1500 kc, the 2200 meter band, so it's kind of like, I guess maybe below the AM broadcast, 160 to 20 meters. Oh, I could use this for ham radio. I mean, I think I'd be quite freaked out if I had to use this. You get in the plane, you're like, here's your radio. I mean, but, you know, as this guy shows, it worked. I don't know. This is the state-of-the-art technology for the 1930s in receivers on Amelia Earhart's airplane. And the transmitter was a WE13C 50 watt. Looks like she also had a Bendix radio direction finder loop antenna. Maybe that was that circle thing on top of the plane when you see the old pictures of the Lockheed Electra. And what's really weird is I can't find a picture of that transmitter, the Western Electric Model 13C. There's no pictures of it anywhere. What, it didn't exist? It's got to be somewhere. I mean, there's all kinds of old junky radio from the good old days, but that one's just not around. I don't understand. It's just really bizarre. Just a little bit about the transmitter. It's 1937. It was kind of a state-of-the-art radio back at the time, but its primary modes were AM, A3 emissions, and CW. And I guess Earhart didn't know Morse code, which is too bad, because that could have probably maybe helped. Because when you do Morse code, that's one thing I learned back in the day. You know, you can pick out a Morse code signal, a really weak signal, a lot better than you can somebody speaking on AM or single sideband. You can just hear those dots and dashes out of that static. But it says here that Earhart's 13C was factory modified to include the 500 kilohertz operation, which is probably a prototype for a later radio. So it was kind of state-of-the-art equipment, you know, it was good stuff. But I don't know if she was really the greatest at operating the radio. I mean, she had a lot going on, and maybe that would have been something to, I don't know. So it was 50 watts of output power, and she was heard. I think she was heard by ham radio operators as well as the receiving ships that were kind of stationed around the area of the ocean to find her. They did hear her last messages, you know, running out of gas, were basically effed, you know. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of information on the transmitter, but no picture. Really bizarre. So when I was a kid, they had a made-for-movie TV on Amelia Earhart, and I forget who the actor was that played it. It was her and Fred Noonan, the navigator, and that's kind of how I got my start of learning about her. And I think it was probably right when I started ham radio in the 70s when that came on TV, and I was intrigued. I watched it, and as I kind of came back to, I just kind of discovered a couple videos and watched it. There's a lot of videos on Amelia Earhart. The whole thing is just downright sad in the end. It's just really sad. And I think that the problem seems to be not necessarily that, you know, Amelia wasn't the greatest on the radio. Big deal. She was able to operate AM. It should have been fine, but it seemed like it was a navigation problem, and they were off just a couple degrees, which meant hundreds of miles off course. And I'm pretty sure it just ran out of gas and crashed in the ocean. And I don't know about Fred Noonan. I think he was maybe part of the problem. Fred was a drunk. He drank his ass off. And I found some information on him. It was a YouTube video that talked about Fred being an alcoholic. And supposedly some of these places they stopped in to refuel and rest were full airports with buildings and staff and bars. And I don't remember, you can kind of look it up, but I watched a little documentary on old Freddie boy, and I think Fred was kind of hungover. I think Fred may have fucked the whole thing up in the end. I don't hear much talk about that, but there's a possibility that she should have dumped him and got a better navigator. He was good, but I think he was a little screwed up from all the boozing he liked to do. So anyway, folks, hope you enjoy that one, and history's great, and really enjoy kind of putting this together and pay tribute to Amelia Earhart. Thanks for watching.